Good morning, everyone. Great to be with all of you. Amazing Corning people. I was separated from all the smart kids back in junior high. It's nice to be reacquainted. Some special acknowledgments. I'd like to recognize Chairman and CEO of Corning, Wendell Weeks. You can give him a hand. President of Corning Enterprises and REDC co-chair, and beginning his 7th year of a 2-year commitment, Tom Schraner. Senator Tom O'Mara. Assemblyman Palmisano. Chairman of the Steuben County Legislature, Joseph Haruski. Mayor of the City of Corning, Rich Negri. Mayor-elect of the City of Corning, William Boland. Town of Big Flat Supervisor, Ed Fairbrother. President of Southern Tier Economic Growth, Mike Cruzen. President of the Corning Chamber of Commerce, Denise Ackley. Executive Director of the Steuben County IDA, James Johnson. USW Local 1000 President, Steve Wilson, and colleagues. I wasn't kidding, actually, about that whole separation of all the smart kids. I had a guidance counselor. Stay away from science, technology, and math, Zemsky. If you're lucky, you can pursue a career in state government. And if you agree to work for nothing, they may actually let you lead a state agency. Thank you. Today we'll be hearing from, in addition to myself, of course, Corning CEO Wendell Weeks. We will then hear from Governor Andrew Cuomo, and Senator Tom O'Mara will close the program. So, why does somebody actually work for nothing and head economic development for the state of New York? The only reason actually you do something like that is because you fundamentally believe that you're part of something meaningful, substantive, and transformative. And what we're doing, and I should say I'm your upstate cousin. I've lived in Buffalo for 37 years. I get it. I get what living in a part of the state that has, taken small and large steps backward for almost 40 years feels like. And it's amazing how different it feels today in just a few short years. And that's what is different. Empowering you, empowering Tom, empowering the regional council to develop its own plan for its own future is 180 degrees different than the way we used to do things. But not just empowering you to develop a plan, but then the governor gives you a ton of authority to direct resources in a way that advances the plan. And if you think about what we've done here in the Southern Tier in so many different ways, whether it's transportation, industry, health and life sciences and technology that we're celebrating here today, distribution, manufacturing, tourism, you take all of your natural attributes and you double down on them, just like you would here at Corning. What is our strategic strength? Material science. How do we leverage material science to create new products and continue to transform the world? And I should say how amazing it is. American industry is littered with companies that are over 160 years old that stopped existing a long time ago. You guys, on the other hand, continue to and are leading innovation on a worldwide basis. You're not just a great asset for upstate or the state of New York, you're a great asset for this country and really the entire world. What you do here is remarkable and transformative and has changed all of our lives. So you should give yourselves a hand for being amazing. In the Southern Tier, we focus on clean energy, as I said, transportation, tourism. You think about Corning, what an incredible tourism magnet this town is and the museum is. Think about Watkins Glen, think about Letchworth State Park, the agritourism business, our focus on agriculture. It is a holistic approach to economic development, investing in infrastructure like your airports, investing in downtowns, the downtown revitalization winners, but not just the downtown revitalization winners, investing in innovation, which you do so well here. It's a holistic, there is no one silver bullet magic project that transforms almost 40 years of decline, but we are doing it. The governor has empowered us to do it in a way that we've never been empowered before and has directed more state resources to upstate than any governor ever has or any of us could have ever imagined. So with that, I want to thank the governor for the opportunity to participate with him in what I think is an incredibly worthwhile journey of transformation for all of upstate. And I want to introduce very briefly somebody who needs no introduction. I do want to turn the program over to Wendell Weeks. He has a very long and distinguished career here at Corning for, I think, over 30 years, right, Wendell? And he couldn't go to Michigan State like I did, but he suffered through Harvard, and I know that was tough work, but I want to introduce Wendell Weeks.
Thanks, Howard. A hand for Howard, who's done such a great job. Obviously worth every penny of his salary. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to Sullivan Park's Innovation Hall. And Corning is honored to host Governor Cuomo and our other dignitaries today. Earlier this morning, we had the pleasure of sharing some of our capabilities here at Sullivan Park with the governor. We also gave him a first-hand look at Valor Glass, a remarkable new pharmaceutical glass packaging solution. Valor Glass dramatically reduces particle contamination, breaks, and cracks while significantly increasing throughput. And as a result, Valor helps protect patients and improve pharmaceutical manufacturing. Now, I love nothing better than showing off Corning's innovations, and it's always a pleasure when a public official takes a genuine interest in the work we do and the potential impact on the world. And actually, the governor came up with some new applications for us on Valor, which is good. So that was a pretty terrific way for us to spend the morning. Since he took office in 2011, the governor has focused on economic development, infrastructure improvements, and job creation, including numerous projects to revitalize the Southern Tier. Corning is pleased to partner with the governor's office to help create a bright future for our home, our community. Since Valor Glass was invented right here in the Southern Tier, it is only fitting that we locate our first significant manufacturing operation right here. The Southern Tier's strategic plan, which you heard about from Howard, and the incentives from Empire State Development have helped make that possible. We're excited that this initiative will support local jobs, and we're grateful to have such a strong and dedicated workforce in this community to help bring our innovations to market where they can make a real difference in people's lives. Now, please welcome Governor Andrew Cuomo. Governor.
Thank you very much. What a pleasure to be here today. It's a great day, great news, great company. First, Mr. Wendell Weeks, who's not only a great CEO, corporate manager, he's an enlightened corporate manager who understands it's about doing business, but doing business and respecting the community and the workforce and the people you work with. And that's Wendell Weeks. Let's give him a big round of applause. Howard Zemsky, economic development mastermind, working on his sense of humor. It's getting better. A tad dry still, but getting better. What you wouldn't know about Howard is he's incredibly thin-skinned, Howard. He's very sensitive. That little comment from Wendell Weeks is going to throw him off for days. There was a newspaper that incorrectly characterized him last week as a short and boring man. It's obviously not true, but he was very upset by that. But he has been brilliant for the state in terms of economic development and transformational economic development. Howard Zemsky, let's give him a big round of applause. To all the local officials who are here, Senator O'Mara, my colleague from Albany, we've been doing great work for the Southern Tier. To the steel workers, Local 1000, and their president, Steve Wilson. It's good to see a union workforce, and it's good to see a union workforce with a good relationship with management. So it's a pleasure to be with you, and it's a pleasure to be at Corning. You know, your reputation precedes you. My father was governor for 12 years. He loved Corning. And whenever he would mention Corning, he would say, "Oh, Corning." It was always preceded with, "Oh, Corning." There was a reverence to "Oh, Corning." And it all comes around today. I called Mr. Weeks a couple of years ago, and I said to him, you know, I have detected a problem, and I have an idea for you in the glass manufacturing business. I'm very concerned about microscopic delamination that might be occurring. And the high friction between glass containers. And I think if we bring down the silicone content and we put a thin laminate around the glass, we can get around that. And I said I would change the name, give it something a little punchy. You know, Pyrex was nice, like Valor glass. I said, that's what but whatever, if you can do something with it, go ahead, I said. If not, just throw it in the wastebasket. It's worth what you paid for it. But I'm glad to see you did good with it, Wendell. And it is a heck of an invention. It really is. And I believe it's going to be transformative in the medical space. I believe it'll be transformative across the board. And it is what Corning does and what makes Corning special and why Corning defies the odds. The ability to change and the ability to grow. The ability to evolve. What corporations continue and thrive? Those corporations that have the ability to change and to grow. Change sounds simple. We evolve, we'll change, new economy, new approach. Change is not simple. It's not even simple on a personal level. You know, the husband and wife are at the breakfast table, and they're reading the newspaper and they're sipping their coffee, and the wife looks at the husband and says, you know, things have to change. And he looks at her and he says, oh, I know things have to change. Yeah, they're both talking about change for the other person. We like control. We like to do what we do. And we really don't like change. To then have a corporation, thousands of people, to change the orientation, to grow. We need a new market, a new invention. The world is changing. And to do that for decades, that's the brilliance of what Corning has done. The constant evolution, constant change, constantly staying one step ahead from a moving and a growing industry. Whether it was the move to optics and ceramics and catalytic converters and then Gorilla Glass and now my invention, Valor Glass, just to keep moving and moving and growing is really an extraordinary testament. And then to do that as a company with a sense of ethics for the community that you live in, investing in the local communities, being part of the community. The museum has been such a gift for the entire state, the entire region. It's just really incredible. So that combination of a company that's a phenomenal and effective entrepreneur and a responsible community partner, that does not happen often. And that's why Corning is one of the leading corporations on the globe. And that's why we are so honored to have Corning in the New York family. And it's a beautiful representative of what we believe New York is all about. Business, innovation, entrepreneur, change, growth, and responsibility in connection with something bigger, which is community. That's Corning, and that deserves a round of applause from all of you. And in many ways, what Mr. Zemsky was saying today is a perfect vignette, that Corning is going to go back to the Big Flats plant and refurbish it and repopulate it, right? This is now full circle. And in many ways, it is the story of upstate New York that Howard was referring to. Upstate New York did one thing. It was a manufacturing economy. That's what upstate New York did. And then the economy changed. Upstate companies, by and large, most companies, by and large, did not do what Corning did. They didn't stay up with the change. And the economy changed, and they were out of business. Buffalo built steel. Steel went overseas. That business ended. Rochester, Kodak, image processing, that went out of business. And you can see it all across upstate New York. And the challenge was then for those places and those people to reinvent and change. But it's hard, and there was nobody to help. Upstate New York was abandoned by the state government. And I don't like to say it, but it's true. Why? Because all the political power in the state legislature is New York City. I'm from New York City, not actually New York City. I'm from Queens, which is different. Queens is called an outer borough. Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Staten Island, they're outer boroughs. There is no borough actually called an inner borough. There are only outer boroughs. What are you outer from? You're outer from Manhattan, which is really the inner borough, but they didn't need to say inner borough because they said everybody else was the outer borough, so they sort of defined you by exclusion. But when you say city, people think Manhattan. I'm from Queens, and I have that outer borough chip on my shoulder, which you can see I'm still working through in life. I inherited it from my father. My father's chip was bigger. He walked like this, that chip was so big. But the predominance of the legislature is from downstate New York, so they're downstate focused. And upstate New York had to go through this economic transformation, which is hard anyway, and they had nobody to help. And that's the 40 years of decline, literally 40 years of decline. And when you're losing businesses to then get the capital and the energy and the initiative to reinvent yourself while you're hemorrhaging jobs and businesses is almost impossible. We reversed that. And we said to downstate New York, look, we're one state at the end of the day. We're one balance sheet. We need upstate New York to thrive, and we're going to invest in upstate New York. How can government help business? Number one, infrastructure. Roads, bridges, airports, trains, people need to get there. We're investing in the Elmira Corning Airport, new Syracuse Airport, new Rochester Airport, new LaGuardia, new JFK, downstate New York. You want to be the state that people can get to, new roads and bridges, et cetera. Invest in college and make the college academic commercial connection and train your workers in the SUNY schools and in the community colleges. And most of all, keep taxes down so you have a business-friendly environment. And we have done that extraordinarily well in the state. How do you keep taxes down? Spend less money. It's a very simple equation. How do you lose weight? Consume fewer calories. That's the whole brilliance. Hard to implement, but the formula is simple. We have state spending down where year to year we have spent less than 2% more per year. How low is a 2% increase? Lowest increase in state spending in history. How can that be? You're a Democrat. You like to spend a lot of money. No, that was a cruel thing to say, and it was stereotypical. There are Democrats who can count. And we have spending lower than any administration that you can find in the history books. And then we brought taxes down all across the board. Taxes are lower today in every income bracket than the day I took office 7 years ago. And the question is a recurring question. The nation is now debating, how do we get jobs back? How do we get jobs for the displaced workers and the displaced areas like upstate New York? Some of the national governments say, well, we're going to bring back the manufacturing jobs. We're not going to bring back the manufacturing jobs. They're not coming back, and by the way, they don't exist anymore. The future for Buffalo is not to bring back the steel jobs. The future for Rochester is not to bring back Kodak. It's not going to happen. We have to create the jobs of tomorrow and innovate for the jobs of tomorrow, and we have to do that today. Because the old manufacturing is gone. They're not coming back, and by the way, they probably don't even exist. The amount of AI and robotics that have been brought into companies is phenomenal. We did a GM Tonawanda engine plant expansion, $300 million. They're building automobile engines for GM cars. And we went to the opening, and we were taking a tour, and I'm a backyard mechanic, and I thought I was going to be right at home here. General Motors engine manufacturing plant. You know what you don't see? Tools. There were no wrenches. Everything is automated. Every 30 feet, you have a computer terminal where a 24-year-old is troubleshooting what's going on. But it's amazing the amount of automation. So you're not going back. You have to train a workforce for the jobs of tomorrow. You have to put business together with colleges. So you're coming up with the ideas, and then the seed comes out of the academic structure and falls onto fertile soil to be commercialized and grow businesses. The next Valor glass all across the board. That's the challenge, and that's what we're doing. So Buffalo, we're not getting steel back. On the grave site of the old steel plant in Buffalo, Republic Steel, on the grave site of Republic Steel, we now have a Tesla Panasonic manufacturing facility building solar panels, largest solar panel manufacturer in the hemisphere, on the grave site. of Republic. Rochester, on the old Eastman Kodak Business Park, we are now doing national groundbreaking work in photonics, and we're doing it for the in concert with the federal government for defense applications. Syracuse, we just opened a drone testing corridor in Syracuse, and we're going to develop an economic cluster around drone development and R&D. That's the future. That's the challenge. That's what we have to do, and that's what we are doing. And there is no better model for that than Corning, because you have done it all on your own. You've grown, you've evolved, you've changed, and the way in Buffalo, we're building on the gravesite of Republic Steel, for you to be going back to Big Flats, which was a facility, I believe, originally built in the late 50s, and refurbishing Big Flats, growing bigger, stronger than ever before. So it's not about yesterday, it's about tomorrow. And there is no better example of creating tomorrow's economy and tomorrow's jobs and a better quality of life for people with the products you make than Corning. We're proud to partner with you in developing out my invention. And as you do it on the Big Flats refurbishment, the state is proud to invest $7.75 million to be your partner. It will be creating 185 new jobs from the get-go. And that's what it's about, which is job creation, and I believe those 185 jobs is just the beginning. I believe in Valor Glass because I believe in Corning, its philosophy, and I believe in you, the people who make Corning happen. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
As usual, the governor forgets to introduce me, but that's all right. What a great day. Thank you, Governor, for being here in Corning at Sullivan Park. What a great facility we have here in the southern tier of New York. Wendell, fabulous work here. Keep the inventions coming. It's great. Keep talking to the governor. He'll keep feeding you new ideas. It's about jobs. It's about jobs. That's what we're all about. And this is that, 185 excellent jobs here at Corning for Valor Glass. Proud to be here for this announcement today to thank the governor. I have my talking points from the governor's people, but I can't say Cuomo that many times. I'll try, Governor. Where's that quote on Howard from last week? Was that from Ray Walter by any chance? It was Howard, you're anything but short. But Howard, you're doing a great job at economic development for the state. The commitment of the governor and his leadership team with the support of the legislature is doing great things for New York. And truly, Southern Tier soaring, which is our motto here for our region, is soaring with the leadership of Tom Trenner. And thank you, Wendell, and the entire leadership of Corning for allowing Tom to continue in that 2-year commitment for an extra 5 years. So that's been great. And you're doing a great job, Tom. It's been a pleasure to work with you on all of that. But I don't know, Governor, if they told you on the way in, but the Big Flats plant sits at the base of Harris Hill. Harris Hill is the soaring capital of America. Gliders taking off from the hilltop, flying over the facility all the time. Truly, and I live right at the base of that hill as well, thanks to Christy, who was sitting to your right, that sold me your house a few years ago. But you'd have a shorter commute to work now, Christy, wouldn't you? But it's just fantastic to be here with these investments that have been being made across the state, in upstate New York. Your commitment to upstate, Governor Howard, I thank you for that. Infrastructure that you talked about, something that my colleague Phil Palmisano and I have worked very hard on with the CHIPS funding for infrastructure. The Bridge and Pave New York programs have been fantastic, big assistance to our local governments throughout the state to provide the infrastructure that our industry needs to thrive here in New York State. Corning is the bedrock of this community. You mentioned community, Governor, in your remarks. Corning is truly the bedrock of this entire region, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, and it's fantastic. I'm just proud to be here today, proud to have you here, Governor. I wish you'd come to town more often because you've always got good news when you do come. So we got to get you back here more often. But thanks for being here today. Thanks, everybody, for being here today and the great work that goes on here at Sullivan Park to continue with the innovation that will drive our economy in the United States and right here in this region into the future. Thank you all very much.